Hello and welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Concept Show, exclusive to the PAUK radio network. I'm your host Paul Rook, and as always we are joined by the evil queen Kerry Greenaway, and back to being demoted to boy wonders, Richard Clements.
That's all I can say.
Oh dear,
I
Christ.
know I'm back now. Please.
Yeah,
God
Christ.
damn it.
He has 4 weeks off and he comes back and says that again. Oh,
I know. You were superly stupendous, Richard Clements, last week.
Well, yeah. I mean, Kerry's been spoiling me.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought I'd knock you back down in your boots here.
How awful is that, Richard?
You obviously didn't.
Should we sack him?
Well, yeah,
Okay, see you later, guys. Oh, dear. How's your week's been? Because I've not spoken to you for quite a while now.
Well, this is true. They've been fine.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose they've been a bit quiet. You know, and usually it's a bit quiet when you're not around, Paul.
Yeah, I was going to say that's because I'm not there.
And we've just been getting on with it. We interviewed some quite interesting guests when you were away. You know, we sort of had a splurge on guests, didn't we, Kerry?
Yeah, make our life a lot easier when we've got a guest, right?
It does, doesn't it?
Particularly some of the guests we had. I mean, gosh, how amazing were some of those, right?
Oh, yeah.
Darren Whitson last week, Beth Darlington, Cal Cooper. Oh, my God. Just like crazy.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we had some big hitters on, yeah.
I've actually been listening.
I know. What did you think?
Yes, I've had a listen instead.
What did you think?
Oh, really good. Really, really good.
Oh, bless him.
Show than that.
Oh. Well, me and Richard, we've been out and about.
Oh, yes, we did. We went out the other day.
We learned a valuable lesson, didn't we, Richard?
What do you mean?
Check that the bloody place is open before you go.
Yes. Well, we missed it. If we'd have gone the day before, because I think we went out on the 1st of November, but if we'd gone the day before, it would have been open.
Yeah.
But we just missed it. But it was a nice trip out anyway. We had a nice drive around the countryside. We went to Orford Castle.
The crap out of me.
Yeah.
Formula One driver, all I'm saying, in his previous life, made me scream, folks, twice.
Yeah, I made Kerry, and the second time we had to pull over so she could have a cigarette to get
honestly, guys, I nearly had a panic attack. His driving is so fast. It's like, I'm going at 30 miles an hour. What do you mean, slow down? I was like, don't you mean 130 miles an hour, Richard?
Yeah,
he loves me in the car.
Oh, I'm sure he wasn't that bad. 130 miles an hour. Just in case on any law enforcement.
Yeah, well, Daryl never.
I'm sure it wasn't that fast.
I take him out.
You know, Daryl doesn't. No, you're right. He doesn't moan when you're out with him. He likes a bit of speed, does my Daryl. Yeah. He knows when I'm in the car, he got to drive slower. Drive slower.
Speed demons.
Honestly. Oh, my goodness. But no, we had a good day out. It was thoroughly enjoyable, wasn't it, Richard?
It was. We went to Orford Castle. And me and Paul had visited before, and it was open that time. So, we went to Orford, a nice snake maltings, and and we had something to eat, and that's another story in itself as well.
4 times he passed the restaurant, 4 times at great speed before. He was really verging on the edge of dangerous, Kerry. Speed freaking and getting me hangry.
No, I'm sorry. I've been out with Richard, and he's never driven 130 miles per hour past any place that serves food.
No, seriously, Paul. It was abnormal behaviour, is what I'm saying. I think he did it just to freak me out. Like,
I'm sure we did.
We hadn't gone out on Halloween like we were hoping to, because the weather was a bit crappy.
Yeah.
And I think he thought, oh, I know, I'd give her a good scare today. Is what I thought. You know. But no, we did have a good day. It was thoroughly enjoyable. But this is why, everybody listening, this is why me and Richard don't go out that often. It's big gaps, so I forget Forget what it was like. And then the next time we go, I go, this is why we don't do it that often.
Yeah, on our paranormal ventures, yeah. Oh, dearie me.
So anyway, on tonight's subjects, we're covering heraldry.
Yeah, interesting topic, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, we're going to take people back as far as the 11th century on this one.
We are. The reason we're talking about this, okay, it's not paranormal per se, right? This is more history, right? But it's so interesting. I was actually quite shocked how interesting I found this particular topic, but how involved it is as well. It's actually not it's not an easy topic, actually.
No, I mean, it is sort of it's not you pay your £20 and get one sent to you through the post.
No, definitely not. Which you can do. I mean, there's plenty of websites out there that were going to sell me my own family crest or my own family coat of arms, and I was like, I don't want to buy one. I just want to know about it. And they said that you have to be really, really careful, because a lot of these like companies that sell them are generally completely made up. They're not real. They're not relevant. You're not allowed to use them. There's a lot of legalities,
especially with those rampant lions on it.
Yeah, rampant lions. But the mythology, there's a lot of mythology and symbolism in coat of arms, which is why we're sort of which is what really sort of like got us down this particular little rabbit hole, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you sort of brought it up, and I sort of thought, coats of arms. Let's see how we go. But sort of just flicking through the research earlier, there is a show to be had out of it, and I'm looking forward to this one.
It's more involved than I anticipated. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Kind of think we're delving across the top of it, not into it deeply. That was the other kind of thing I took away from this.
Yeah.
Because this involves, like, as I say, there's a lot of legalities involved. There's a lot of different rules depending on countries. There's a lot of different types of symbolism involved in it as well. They all mean something different, right? There's not anything specifically. It's a bit difficult to pin down how difficult it was a topic, because there were so many angles you could have gone on it. Yeah. So I've kind of tried to generalize it a little bit to give an overview of it, really. But one thing I will say for sure is, if you do go and buy a coat of arms from a company, then it's not legitimate, really. No, you have to.
You've got to be entitled to be able to use it.
They've got to be bestowed on you by the right authorities, which is usually well, I think if you're talking about sort of British coats of arms, they have to be bestowed by the monarch themselves.
You can, I mean, there are certain circumstances where it could be hereditary, but even that has its downfall, because it only gets passed to the eldest son. Mm-hmm. And that's only if that hereditary status has been put onto the coat of arms.
Yeah.
And to only find that out, you would have to search your family tree, your genealogy and all that. And you'd have to hire somebody that takes a hell of a long time. Anybody doing a basic family tree knows how long that takes. But to go back as far to find the person and find a direct line of descendancy, honestly, crazy.
But then, you can also have it taken off you, or just because you are the eldest son doesn't always necessarily mean that you are allowed to use that coat of arms.
Mm-hmm.
There obviously are, as you said, set of rules for it all.
It's really strict.
Oh, yeah.
It's really strict, guys, out there. But it's a thoroughly interesting topic, because when I started, I was just, the medieval shield. That's kind of in my head, the shape.
Yeah. The shape of the coat of arms. This is where it comes from, isn't it?
Yeah, because what they used to do was, like, back in medieval times, when you was in the middle of a battle, they wouldn't be able to tell between one side or the other.
That's right.
And also, you got to remember, you've got a lot of, so you got, like, the king and his army, but he would also call in a lot of lords.
That's right.
To build his army. All of those lords would want to be discernible on the battlefield.
Yeah, because you don't want to end up being attacked by the wrong side. So the Lord and his retinue of men which he brought along would have this device. Well, the Lords and his sort of men at arms would probably have it on their shields, whilst the rest of his sort of like contribution to the army would probably just have a little badge or motif on their doublets.
Well, it would go more than that, because that's why it's called coat of arms, because it would be the tabard they would wear over. I'm thinking Monty Python here. Yeah, they've got the white tabard over the top with the red cross on it.
Yeah, that's right.
Clip clopping and stuff on the things. And so the basic colour and the basic insignia would actually be on that tabard. And then that took further onto their shields, and then obviously, you know, things like that, helmet, shields, all that sort of thing. And then they would incorporate that as an actual coat of arms, you know, an actual proper insignia, as, you know, on flags and things like that. Interesting, right?
Yeah,
it is.
I find it fascinating anyway. I don't care about anybody else. So as time went on, they all, you know, nations have got coats of arms and corporations have got coats of arms, and it sort of like grew from there, really. That's sort of,
well, you look at sort of, we're in the UK and we're in England, which is part of the UK. You know, you've got Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, but we're in England, and our sort of coat of arms is the classic three lions, which you see the football, which you see all our national teams wear, like the football team and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. And this is how they discerned people from each other on the battlefield. And it was very basic to start with, but then it represent every part of your coat of arms, the bigger bit, you know, like with the shield and all the four corners, and then you've got figures on either side and the bit at the top, and then the motto at the bottom, and, you know, a proper coat of arms. Every bit of that, it represents the achievements of the person it was given to.
Yes.
And that's where it gets a little bit baffling at times, because there's so many different versions of this.
Well, you actually have specialists that actually study coats of arms, don't you? And the specialists that actually devise the coats of arms for people who are eligible to actually have one.
Yeah.
And as
well,
you
nowadays
said earlier,
they do.
But as you said earlier, Kerry, I mean, this is not you know, we're painting a nice picture. Here you go, you can have that as your coat of arms. No, they have to sort of go back through history to find if your direct descendants did have a coat of arms, you know, and what it was and everything.
Exactly. So the first documented use of a coat of arms goes back to medieval times. It's actually on the Bale tapestry. Now that dates from 11th century AD and is all about the Norman invasion of England, right?
It's a Norman conquest, yeah. It's very famous, you know. It shows the scene from the Battle of Hastings and what happened afterwards as well.
That's right. Very famous. Now, see, I didn't even realise that. That's the first documented use of the coat of arms. I didn't know that. I just thought it was like, oh, famous battle, man threw arrow through his eye kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? But it's actually so historically important because of little details like that is on the tapestry.
Yeah, I'll say it's the first visual reference they have of it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the knights on the tapestry are actually seen with shields with the heraldic insignia on them, painted crosses, I think. And this is like the first and earliest types of coat of arms. So it's very basic. But then that's hardly surprising, right?
Well, they have to start somewhere, I suppose.
Exactly. By the 12th century, it sort of grown a little bit. They become a lot more common. And this was basically used by knights and minor feudal lords. Feudal? Is that the right word?
Feudal, yep. You got that one right there.
Blimey, starting off well.
Well done.
I know, a little pat on my back there. who went into battles, and this is where, like, you go into a battle, you'd have different feudal laws, and you'd have different, like, knights with their little group of merry men going into the battle, so they'd know who was who, and they could direct the battle in that way. Now, within another century of that, families were using coat of arms. Now, usually they would use the ones that were granted to an ancestor like a century before, like a family logo, right?
Yeah.
And they would sew these arms. Now, bearing in mind, these are quite basics, so we're not getting too graphic at this point in time. These are all very basics. These would be sewn onto flags that they would then put above their castle and their manors. So you'd go to the castle, go, oh, yeah, it's Lord, I don't know, Granville.
Such and such, yeah.
Yeah, Lord Granville, who's got this castle. He owns this castle, right?
Yeah.
Only the highest classes of people in medieval Europe used coats of arms.
Yeah, it would have been a status symbol, I should imagine.
Well, if you status symbol enough to own a flag, I think.
Yeah.
And so they were distinguished enough, or their acts were distinguished enough to have been granted to them by kings of the time.
Yeah.
So they had to be bestowed on you. You couldn't just go, oh, I fancy having a flag. I fancy this. I fancy that. You actually had to have the king bestow it on you. So that's why they would say, the distinguished people, families were using these coats of arms, basically.
Yeah, if you're loyal to the king and sort of done a lot of work for the king, like raised men for battle and on his campaigns and stuff like that, yeah, the king would award, and it would be like a reward for your service.
Yeah. Thanks very much for coming to Bisbee in battle. You can use that insignia.
Yeah, and I'll give you permission to use this insignia.
Exactly. Right. So, but it does vary depending on country, though.
Yeah.
It does vary because in Germanic countries, both aristocrats and free citizens who weren't noble but who had distinguishing accomplishments could be granted them and use them.
Right.
Right. In England and Scotland, only the person who was originally granted the coat of arms could use it, as it were. So
they wouldn't be able to pass it down.
No. So it does. Sorry, bug. So it does depend on the country as to the rules and regs regarding the heritage of a coat of arms. Like in England, it could only be the person that were granted it, not their family.
Right.
Right. Whereas in Germany, or Germanic countries, should I say, back into there, they could.
Right.
Okay. So it's all very dependent. Now, it was actually King Richard I in the 13th century during the First Crusades who then made it allowable that we could make it more hereditary. The coat of arms could be more hereditary. So it's only the 13th century. So up until that time, it was only very individual. After that time, it did get passed down. But they had to change the coat of arms slightly to distinguish it per generation.
Oh, right. So if you inherited a coat of arms from your father, you're the eldest son, and your father sort of passes on. You would be presented with his coat of arms, but you would make a minor change to it.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Oh, right.
Now, women were also allowed to bear their own coat of arms, but it had to incorporate unique designs alongside the main family design, so they could go, oh, it's a female.
Right.
So again, this is an evolution now of the coat of arms. So you start off with your basic one that got given to the guy that won it, as effectively, that was bestowed upon. And then as generations went on, it would evolve slightly and change slightly. You'd know it was the same family, but you'd have to change it a little bit. So you could say, well, that was, I don't know, his son or his grandson or something. Yeah.
So anyone that was in the know could look at them at a glance and say, well, that is such and such, and that's his sort of, second son, down the line,
I know, right? Confusing.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But that's because we don't know. Whereas back in the day, I mean, nowadays, oh God, it's a totally different ball game, isn't it? Because everybody knows you'd have name badges.
With just your name on it, yeah.
Just your name on it. Whereas back in the day, it was more of a thing because you'd need to know whether you're going into friendly territory or not, I suppose, depending on, because there's a lot of factions back in the day, a lot of arguments, a lot of wars, a lot of loyalties, split loyalties and stuff.
Yeah.
You've got to think of that. Don't want to rock up to a castle that, is, I know, I'm thinking of when it was parliamentary and royalist.
Yeah, Civil War.
You wouldn't want to rock up to a royalist if you're a parliamentarian, would you? Unless you wanted to set it on fire.
Yeah, that's right. And unless you're laying siege to his property, no, you wouldn't.
Now, eventually, churches and towns were also granted the right to use coats of arms to identify themselves. Universities and some companies that had royal charter were also given coats of arms, which nowadays we see it as a corporate logo, right?
Yeah. Where we were a few weeks ago, the Guildhall, I'm sure if we'd have looked closer, we would have seen coats of arms in there for all the guilds and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly the sort of place that would have it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But I was thinking, the Duchy of Cornwall has got a coat of arms, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And if you're a supplier,
any sort of duchy,
you get the right to use the logo, don't you? Which is literally just the Duchy of Cornwall symbol now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But back in the day, that would have been the coat of arms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, your royal approval. Yeah,
it's like the royal stamp of approval, guys.
Which you have to apply for.
You do. Yeah.
They don't get in contact with you. The Queen doesn't phone you up and say to someone like, and because I like your jam and we have it here at the palace, you can use my coat of arms on your products. It takes and there's a bit more to it.
Yeah, there is. There is a lot more to it, legality-wise. It's a nightmare. Yeah. Right, so the regulations are that a coat of arms would have been trademarked.
Yeah.
So the owners of the trademarks, families or organisations, have the legal right to say how their arms can be used. Right. Now, England and Scotland have heraldic authorities which grant and regulate the use of the coat of arms. Sometimes the authorities will grant new arms to people or families or organisations, even now, right? Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily have to be ancient to be legitimate. No. Because they, like you said earlier on, they still give them now, right?
Yeah, I can remember not that long ago when Harry and Meghan got married and they were awarded, what was it, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And they had the coat of arms made up and they it was a TV programme and they sort of showed you and how they actually, the process of doing the coat of arms, there's sort of like, I think Meghan was represented by some particular sort of bird, a crane, I think, or something.
A crane?
I don't know. Was it a crane? I don't know, or a stork or something like that. It was a particular sort of
carrying Harry away from the cradle.
Well, I can remember watching it.
I'm not saying nothing. Just in case
they're Harry away to America.
Just in case they're listening, I'm not saying nothing.
Bless them. Poor
Bless them, yeah.
Oh dear. So it's made up of different things, right?
Yep.
It starts off with the family crest. Now, the family crest is part of the overall coat of arms. Okay, it's the bit at the top, right at the top.
Right at the top, what do you mean?
Of the think of a coat of arms and it's got the shield in the middle and it's got a thing at the top and it's got figures down the side generally and the motto at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
That's what we think nowadays of coat of arms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right at the top, that's called the crest.
Right.
Okay. It's a 3-dimensional object at the top of the arms. That's what they call it, crest of the arms. Oh, God. And they call it a crest because wave on the ocean, crest of a mountain.
Yeah, the top of, isn't it? Crest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, this is an important identifier for what the person who originally received the arms, what they did to receive it.
Right, I see. So I suppose if it was in battle, you know, he's someone who distinguished themselves in an historic battle, it could be 3
Didn't
swords
run away.
or something like that. Sort of 3 swords or
Yeah.
or 2 swords crossing each other, perhaps.
Yeah, something along those lines. Now, they would often use that bit all on its own as a smaller family logo without the full arms.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
So the crest would sometimes be used almost like the family logo.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, from battle it could just say didn't run away.
The problem with the crests is the original meanings have often been lost now.
The county set up here in England, they only use the crest on sort of like, take us in Essex. We all know what the Essex crest is, don't we? It's the 3 swords, isn't it?
The 3 swords, yeah.
Yeah.
But that is only the crest. That Essex does have a coat of arms. The same with
exactly.
the other counties. Like Kent, it's a horse, I believe their crest is. So, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But we do use just the crest to denote the county. Yeah.
Yeah, so families would do that as well. They would use literally just the top bit, almost as the family logo. And you think about it, if that was going on to, you know, something you was wearing into battle, that's a lot better than a great big family heraldic crest, you know, a coat of arms, isn't it? You don't need the whole lot. You literally need 3 lions, 3 swords, a horse, of this. You know what I mean? You don't need that. And this is where it becomes very confusing because the symbolic meanings of a lot of the things that now, or that are in these family, you know, coat of arms, have been lost. They've been forgotten. Why is it 3 swords? Why? Who was that first given to? Who knows, right?
Yeah, I should imagine. Yeah,
it just is.
You just say, well, it just is. Yeah.
Like, there are probably experts out there who know this information.
Yeah.
Whether or not they think it's too boring to put out there, I don't know. But I found very little information. All I got was a lot of, well, it's all been lost in history. It's been forgotten. And there probably is some book or other of all the different meanings and that sort of thing from where it first came from. I couldn't find a reference to it.
No.
It doesn't mean there isn't one. I just couldn't find it. But a lot of sites were admitting that a lot of the reasons that that particular symbol that identified a family or rank or noble had got forgotten along in the annals of.
Yeah, so there might even be people out there that researched it, and you know they've come up with their own theory of what these things could mean. They've either hit the nail on the head or they're totally wrong. You know, there's no way.
If they,
one way or the other,
if you are trying to track stuff back to, well, quite literally, the Norman conquest, that's quite a long way to go back to. You're looking at close to 1,000 years now, so you know it's no wonder things get lost.
There's a project for you there, right there, Richard.
No thanks.
Really? Don't fancy that little project?
I thought that'd be right up your street with the old.
Yeah, true, but yeah.
It's probably written in sort of like the, you know, like you get a king's diary and stuff like that. All the kings and queens have had write a journal, don't they?
Yeah.
It's probably written somewhere in those the reasons why, you know, good
you
old.
Watch, 2 swords are probably something to do, or an axe maybe, because the king didn't like them, and they're gonna be like, well, when I finish
off with their head
off.
Yeah, dispatched with. Yeah.
Or the person he bestowed it upon was like, oh, I'm going to give you the axe as a symbol because you're so really good with that axe in battle. you know, or something like that. But it would have been because of a specific battle.
Yeah.
So whether or not that would have been recorded, who knows? It could have just been said, and you can use that as your insignia, mate, kind of moment. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, nowadays it's a lot more formal, but back then, in the medieval times, I don't know if it was as formal as that.
Who knows?
I know.
Who knows? Now, most European countries adopted the use of coat of arms over the centuries in the Middle Ages, right?
Yep.
Oh, dear. So where were we? They don't regulate their use, Europe.
And so they just give them out willy-nilly.
Well, they don't care. You can make your own and use that if you want to. They don't put any rank or order on them. There's no relevancy in them. I mean, Italy doesn't recognise them at all. You can do what you like with a coat of arms.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Right. But in England, or United Kingdom, should I say, this is a serious subject.
Oh, yeah. Heraldry, yeah.
Yeah. Right. There is no such thing as a coat of arms that is granted to a surname. So say a coat of arms was given to, I don't know, Greenaway.
Yeah.
Lord Greenaway back in the Middle Ages. That doesn't give me or my family any right to use the Greenaway coat of arms.
No, that's right.
Just because of the surname. Just because of the surname. There gives me no right whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
It is individual only. So to legally use the arms, a person must be the person to whom the arms was originally granted or the direct male line descendant. In a legitimate line of descent, no illegitimate lines are eligible.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, so it could all go to pot if you have an illegitimate baby along the way, which, yeah.
So, like, put it this way, right? The king has an illegitimate child. They've got no right to the coat of arms at all.
Well, no, and they've got no rights in succession either, but that's another story, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a bit blurry, grey area, that one. It's a grey area, folks.
Well, it takes someone like Charles II who had up to, I think, 9 or 10 illegitimate children. Yeah, that would have been a bit of a muddle.
You imagine trying to work that line of heritage out. Right.
Yeah.
Now, the College of Arms in the United Kingdom can make new grants of arms, even today, right?
Yep.
But you have to submit your formal request to the College of Arms directly. This applies to anybody.
Right.
Americans who can prove a direct legitimate descent from a subject of the British Crown during a period of British rule, such as Americans with ancestors in America when it was still a British colony, so this is pre-Revolutionary War time, can petition the College of Arms for an honorary arms that will be granted to one
person. There you go, listeners. We have a lot of listeners in the US, so yeah.
Yeah, right.
Start digging back in your past. You never know. You might be allowed a coat of arms.
You never know, right?
Yeah.
That person then has the right to pass down the arms through the legitimate male line of their family.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why some people with the same surname have the legal right to use a coat of arms in the UK, and others with the same surname do not.
Ooh.
Right.
So if I found one of my ancestors then that had a coat of arms, could I not apply for that?
No.
Oh, that's rubbish, isn't it?
You'd have to be the direct line of hereditary legitimacy.
Unless
the person that was bestowed the coat of arms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it would be your dad will probably, and if you did find it out, it would go to your dad first before it would come on to you're the eldest son, aren't you, Paul?
Yeah.
So then it would
be it would you, and then it would be if you had a son, it'd be your firstborn son.
Yeah.
Okay. And so on and so forth. Until it got broken, like you had girls or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Right, now, a real coat of arms is divided into several parts, and each part tells, so basically it builds a story. of the family or the person. Actually, it builds the person or the entity that owns the arms. Now, there's several parts. Are the motto. Now, this can be anything they want to say that they feel represents them or their group or family. Right?
Okay.
Usually in Latin.
Yeah, isn't Prince Charles Ishstein or something, wasn't it?
When I was doing my Civil War reenactment, our regiment had a coat of arms and had the motto Amatez Loyet, which is love is loyal.
Oh,
That sounds more like Alison Moyet, but okay.
Amatez Loyet, I'll never forget that. Yeah.
That is above the crest. That is at the top, very top, right?
Very top, right.
Then you have the crest, which we talked about, which is that 3-dimensional symbol which identifies the achievements of the owner, the swords or whatever, the horse or whatever. Yeah. Then you've got the shield and the elements on the shield, right? Now, this is like an actual shield.
Yeah.
Okay. A shape of a shield. And then usually it's split into four quarters, right? Now, this is where this one gets a bit confusing because you've got different shapes of shields. But usually what we kind of remember or identify, it would be like the
classic medieval knight shield.
Yeah, it's called a heater. It's called a heater shield, believe it or not. I find these little things out. There are lots of different types of shields, all different names, but the one that you would, it's like, they call it a heater shield. The reason they call it a heater shield is because it's shaped like an iron that they used back into deer.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah,
that's why they call it that, right? I know. Things you find out.
I like it.
I know, right? Things you find out on the way. Right, now. It would represent the shield that the person had used when they went into battle. So this you get different shield designs, but in our heads we think of like the medieval knight shield.
Yeah,
the heater shield.
The heater shield.
But there are loads of different designs of shield that you can get: ovals and rounds and Viking shields and this shield and that. Lots and lots of different ones. Long oval type shields, shorter oval type shields.
Kite shields.
All have different meaning. Yeah, not meanings, but battle uses in battle. Roman shields, all sorts of things. Now, there may be different designs on the shield, but the shield itself is representative of what the person would have actually used. Their placement and colours on it tell the story about the origin of the arms. It's called an escutcheon. Right?
Yeah.
It forms the main or focal element in the achievement of arms. That's what it does.
Right.
Beautiful. So that's your focal point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I said, they're actually derived from actual shields used by the knights in combat. So they're varied, depends on region, era. It's just incredibly. See, I was like, oh my God. At this point of research, I was like, oh my God. Do I then go into like history of shields? Right? Because
it's a difficult one, isn't it? You can see why they've got an organisation here in the UK dedicated to actually looking at this, whereas other countries, especially Italy, just can't be bothered.
No, honestly, I don't blame them. But this, to be fair, although this, this becomes a little confusing, it actually, I find this so interesting. How weird is that?
Yeah.
Right. The shield is actually appropriate to men only because men go into battle, women don't.
Yeah, ordinarily. Right? Yeah.
It is a masculine thing. Unfortunately, ladies, this is not really our domain. Because, as I say, this was given to people usually coming from battles. So us ladies missed out on this one. Do you remember what I said earlier about women could bear the arms, but they had to change their device slightly to denote that it was feminine?
Yes. Have girly things on it like flowers and I don't know. Yeah.
Well, no. We'd go for more a lozenge shape or a diamond shape in the middle.
Oh, right, I see.
Yeah. Now, that's what we would generally change the middle bit to, because we haven't got our own shields because we didn't go into battle. So we would have to donate that we are female and it is our female coat of arms. So it'd be a lozenge or a diamond shape. Now, in Europe, clergymen and ladies in Europe would have a cartouche or an oval.
Oh, an oval, cartouche.
Yeah, a cartouche. Mm-hmm. And there are other shapes as well. So, like the roundel is commonly used for the arms granted to the Aboriginal Canadians by the Canadian Heraldic Authority.
Oh, right. So the Native Americans then.
I know. Fascinating. And secondly, a shield can itself be a charge within a coat of arms. So you've got the big one, right? The focal point.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of that, you could have another little one.
Yeah, I've seen ones like that.
Okay, so this is called a pretense or an ensurtout. I don't know if I said that right, but we'll go with that.
We're going to have to go, yeah. We're going to have to go with that.
We're going to have to go with that. The reason for that is because what they would do is their main shield is where they originally came from, their original shield. And then if they nick somebody's territory, they then have the right, because they're the conqueror, to put that shield on their shield.
Oh, yeah, so I see why they put it in the middle then, yeah.
Yeah, so basically we've nicked you. We're gonna have your shield on our shield, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Yeah, it's like a battle honor, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh. Exactly.
Yeah, it's almost like a trophy. It's almost like a trophy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the fighter pilots during World War II, and every plane they shot down, they used to put a little sort of like
notch
like
on their bedpost.
Yeah, they used to put a little flag on the side of their cockpit.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Now, no matter what the shape of the shield that they were putting in the middle, yeah. So that if say they overcome a country or a region, shall we say, it's more regional than it would be country, that had a different shaped shield, they would change the shape of the shield to the big to mimic the big shield. So it's like they would take the insignia, put it on a mini version of their own shield, pop that in the middle of their shield, so it's a definite stamp of authority of their authority on that region and that arms. Yeah. This is why it gets so confusing, folks. Right, so the word escutcheon is derived from the Middle English escutcheon, which is Anglo-Norman.
Right, meaning just that then.
Yes, and it actually means a blot on somebody's reputation. Right, so it's when they say a blot, they don't mean it like to us. It's like, oh, it's a blot on your reputation. It's not a good thing, right? But back then it was like a badge of honor. Whereas if you took once you took the mini one, like the region that you've overcome and popped that on your shield, that was a blot.
Yeah.
Because that's,
yeah,
weird.
Lights or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could say a blot on your reputation.
Yeah. I know, it's absolutely crazy. Yes, so this is where we're going with it, guys.
Interesting.
It is interesting. It is really interesting. So when we start looking at shields, the shape, we talked about the shape, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because even the shape represents something different as well, doesn't it?
Exactly. The shape is the shield that you would have used during the time that, so we can generally garner an era from the shape of the shield. So, for example, right, on the effigy of William II Longby, this is at Salisbury Cathedral, Yeah, the shield shown on the effigy of his father is a more elongated form. So they kind of know that around the 1226s, 1200s, yeah, that type of shield was being used.
Yeah, it's a kite shield. That's a Norman shield. And they are quite distinctive to look at, and they're called kite shields because they look like kites. Your traditional kite.
So they can date a coat of arms from the shield type because they've got things like this that give us the dates.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We know that coat of arms was around then because that's the shield, and we know the shield is because we've got effigies in cathedrals that denote this, right? The enamel monument, the latter's grandfather, Geoffrey V, Count of Anjou, is almost full body length.
Well, his shield?
His shield is almost a full body length, yeah.
Right.
Which,
that's the sort of shield you want, isn't it?
Yeah, there's honestly the amount of different types of shields there are through history for different uses. Like Romans, they used to use something called a phalanx, didn't they? And they would have the shields at the front, and then the row back would have the shield up, and then the row back, and then basically it's a walking case.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's almost like they make themselves into a walking tank.
That's it.
There's another one where I think wasn't it the Greeks used to have round shields with like a little bit of an arch cut out the top for their spears to go through.
Yeah.
And even they would turn themselves into like a almost walking armadillo.
Yes.
To protect themselves from archers as well as frontal attacks. Really clever, the warfare.
The Roman shield. There's ones where they would have spikes, so when they stopped to like duck down to do their bowing thing, bows, it would have the shield would have spikes, so they would shove the spikes in the ground, so they've got like a barricade straight away. Yeah. There's so many different types of shields, right? Oh, yeah. Absolutely fascinating in itself. Go check out strongblade.com, right? Because that had a really great, funny as well. It was that I was crying. The guy's sense of humour was absolutely brilliant. Strongblade.com if you want to know about shields. Funny as anything.
I'll have to have a look at that.
Honestly, go check that article out because that was so funny. History of shields at strongblade.com. Every day. I'd say one evening when I was looking at this work, this kind of subject, I came across his website and I was crying with laughter. It's just very, very humorous, but gives you a history of shields. And the history of shields denotes era and the the nationality as well, which all gave people clues as to shields, family coats of arms across Europe and through the medieval period, because we didn't have that information.
Yeah,
fascinating stuff, right?
It is. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Right, now, so you've got that as your focal point on your coat of arms. Either side you'd have supporters, right? They're called supporters.
Are they the ones with the pom-poms?
No, these are usually animals or people. Can you imagine that?
Oh, here we go.
Like cheerleaders, right?
Yeah.
These are usually animals or people that stand either side of the shield supporting it. And again...
like the rampant lion.
Yes.
Lion rampant, yeah. I knew we'd get there. Unicorn rampant.
Yeah.
Because that's what the royal coat of arms has got, isn't it?
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Oh, dear.
We're getting to the royal coat of arms because it's easier, so I think, I'm talking about, or we're talking about these kind of things, and then we're going to go into some of the coat of arms and explain them a little bit.
Yeah,
okay.
We need to do that. Yeah,
because I think at this point we need to do that because we're getting a little bit confused. But go on to ancestralfindings.com and you'll find out a little bit more about the individual animals and meanings. Like, because there's so many, again, hundreds of different ones.
Yeah,
hundreds of them. I didn't want to sit here and go, oh, and the unicorn means this, and the boar means that, and the griffin means this, and because these are mythological creatures half the time. that are being brought in. And mythological creatures have their own meaning, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is fascinating in itself, right?
Of course it is.
So ancestralfindings.com is a good site to go and check out if you want to sort of like have a little game and try and build your own, because you can have quite fun with that. So let's have a look at the royal coat of arms. Now, this has changed and evolved over 9 centuries since they were first used by Richard I, the Lionheart guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Off on crusade, yeah. I think he only came to England something like once. He spent most of his time in France or in the Holy Land.
He did. He was hence the King John and
and all that
story
sort of
Robin
malarkey.
Hood.
Robin Hood, thank you, Paul, because I was seeing him in my head but couldn't remember the bloody name of him. Robin Hood and his merry gang of men. Yeah. Now, his coat of arms was simply the 3 lions, which is where we get the 3 lions from, right? The original. Yeah. That was the original. Now, the lion is a common charge, right? They call these charges in heraldry. It traditionally symbolises courage, nobility, royalty, strength, stateliness, and valour.
He'd be spinning his grave if he could see the UK now.
He'd probably be off in the Middle East doing something over there still.
Well, I don't blame him, to be fair.
Now, the lion, as we know, is even today is like the king, isn't it? The king of beasts.
Well, yeah, if you're going to have an animal to represent, your prowess on the battlefield or whatever, you're going to want a lion, aren't you? It's not
as a king.
Yeah, as a king, you're going to want the king of beasts as well.
See, I think I'd stick with my Chinese animal, which is a dragon for me.
Okay, yeah, you'd go for a dragon, would you?
It'd quite easily beat the lion.
Okay, Richard?
Me, no, I like the lion.
Oh, you think you're royalty?
Yeah. I'm sure I am somewhere. Who knows?
King Nero.
Yeah, Nero, yeah.
And your luck.
Yeah, I can fiddle whilst Rome burns.
I was thinking more like laying on a couch eating grapes is where I was going with that thought pattern. I think I would be, I don't know.
Boudica?
No, I think a horse, actually. Yeah, I think horses would figure on mine if I was to have supporters.
Yeah, a horse, a rampant horse, eh? Oh, there you go.
I'll have a rampant horse, right?
Dragons are more useful. You see.
So, how has the royal coat of arms progressed then? Because originally you were saying it was just the 3 lions, on a red background?
Yeah, well, basically it was. They called the Guild's 3 lions Passant Gardant, or this remained the royal arms of England.
Right.
Okay. This until Edward III. He courted the arms with the fleur-de-lis, which is actually the arms of the French king.
That was to incorporate, because not a lot of people realise is the British sort of like monarch had a lot of claims to French lands, because they came from Normandy originally, so whilst Richard III, and he sort of took the fleur-de-lis and courted it with the 3 lions, which I think is the one we still use today, is it?
Oh, I don't know. We'll get to that because it's changed again since then.
Oh, has it changed? Oh,
yeah, but I want to look at the fleur-de-lis only because this interests me, because I stayed at the fleur-de-lis, didn't I?
Where?
In Sandwich.
Oh, was it? All right.
Yeah, the hotel was called the Fleur-de-Lis. And I thought, well, the Fleur-de-Lis, I hear this a lot, say the Fleur-de-Lis, right? So I thought, I went down a little rabbit hole. I went down a little side cul-de-sac, shall we say, because I wanted to know a little bit more about the fleur-de-lis, and it's lily flower is what it means, right?
Oh, so it is a plant then?
Yeah.
Or a lily. It is a lily then.
Yeah.
And I've often wondered, because...
Well, it's very associated with this French crown. One legend identifies it as a lily given at the baptism of Clovis, King of the Franks.
Right.
Yeah, by the Virgin Mary. And then the lily was said to have sprung from the tears shed by Eve as she left Eden. So it's got very religious connotations to it.
Right.
Right. For as long as they can remember, it has been a symbol of purity. Was readily adopted by the Roman Catholic Church to associate the sanctity of Mary with events of special significance. So when Pope Leo III in 800 crowned Charlemagne as emperor, he's reported to have presented him with a blue banner covered with golden fleur-de-lis. Which is why the French kings, or the French royalty, long used the fleur-de-lis as an emblem of their sovereignty as indisputable.
Yeah.
That's why it became such a thing for them. On his seal of 1060, before heraldry became formalised, Philip I, on his throne, holds a short staff that terminates in a fleur-de-lis. Right? So we're now going into, when we look at our Queen, yeah, and you go to the Tower of London and see the crown jewels and we see the staff that she holds when she's being coronated.
Yeah, coronation staff, yeah.
That's what these sort of things are for the French.
Right, I see.
Yeah, because that same staff appears at the Great Seal of Louis VII. His signet ring was charged with a single fleur-de-lis, and Louis VII is believed to have been the first to use azure sem of fleur-de-lis, or the blazon or heraldic description, now abbreviated azure sem de lis, or designated France Ancient, on his shield.
Right.
Boom!
Mic drop, leave the building.
Yeah, mic drop.
Hell yeah. All right. Oh, dear. Now, the reduction to 3 fleur-de-lis today, because this was like many, the reduction down to just 3 was designated as a France modern and was commanded by Charles V in 1376 in honour of the Holy Trinity.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so they're giving it more of a religious overtone again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is how things evolve, right? Oh,
Yeah.
we're very religious. We go for 3, just 3. It's the Holy Trinity. It sounds like a good number, right? The classic shape of the fleur-de-lis, and what you see most today in the illustrations and stuff, between the classical period and the modern period, is been modified by limitations and tastes of craftsmen and their patrons. So nowadays, the heraldic decadence outlines could be grotesque because it's slightly different, because everyone's put their different take on it.
Right.
Okay. Now, there have been attempts to distinguish between the small variations, and they are small variations. I mean, God, to the untrained eye, it would all look the same. You probably wouldn't notice, but there are small variations, and there have been attempts to distinguish this. Now, oh dear. It's all about whether the feet are absent, whether they're replaced by the trapezoidal pedestal, all sorts of variations depending on the artist's whim. They don't have any significance at all.
Right.
Okay. The one variation that is recognised is the fleur-de-lis rempli. That's the 3 petals separated by 2 stamens, as in the arms of the city of Florence.
Yeah, that is the classic fleur-de-lis I know of. Yeah, we use. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So no, back to ours. Back to, that's French. That's the fleur-de-lis in France. But that became part of ours because, we're French partly. Or we have French Providence, should I say. Mm-hmm. Now, that remained the royal arms until the reign of James I. Right?
Right. Who was, and what was he of Scotland? Come on, we've done this. Gunpowder plot.
We did. 5th?
6th.
God damn it. Nearly there. Nearly there. So the royal arms of Elizabeth I was what I've just outlined with the fleur-de-lis, the quartered fleur-de-lis, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because she was officially titled Queen of France, even though she wasn't the Queen of France. All she had was Calais. And
Calais, basically. Yeah.
That was actually lost in the reign of Mary I, and James I quartered the arms. So we go to James. He quartered the arms further, adding the Scottish arms because he was King of Scotland too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and wouldn't their arms be a red lion? Well,
Yes.
I'm thinking of something else.
No, Scotland is a unicorn.
So that's why you have the unicorn on one side of the coat of arms, then the royal coat of arms.
So you've got the lion on one side, you've got the unicorn on the other, and that
I
symbolises
see.
England and Scotland, thanks to James I.
I see.
Okay, now, sorry, and then they had also at that time added the Harp of Ireland. Ireland is a harp.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was altered slightly again by subsequent monarchs, but the simplified version was adopted by Queen Victoria and actually remains the official royal arms today. So it's the supporters to the arms that have changed considerably over the centuries.
Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth chose her supporters as the English royal lion on the left and the Welsh dragon on the right, symbolising she was Queen of England and of Wales.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. James changed that to a unicorn. So he's got the lion on one side, the unicorn on the other.
Yeah.
Okay. The motto on the coat of arms is Semper Idem, which is Latin for always the same. That was the personal motto of Elizabeth I. Okay.
Oh, okay. And that is still the motto today, is it?
Yeah. And sometimes the Queen's royal arms are depicted with the more standard royal motto, Dieu est mon droit, which is God and my right.
Okay.
Now come forward, right? So that was our, going back to those days and how it came forward to Victoria. Queen Elizabeth II, which is our queen now, our lovely, lovely, beautiful, fantastic woman that's sitting on our throne right now.
Mm-hmm.
She has got the royal coat of arms, which is what you would see today. Okay, what we look at now is a shield dividing into four quarters. The quarters represent the symbols of Ireland, England, and Scotland.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Wales does not play a role in the royal coat of arms.
No, because Wales was sort of like taken over a very, very long time ago, and it's always sort of, the English have always sort of made it say, well, it's part of us anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why it's not actually represented. Because it is represented because it's part of England.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just the Welsh would argue that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Welsh would argue that.
Yeah, apologies to any Welsh listeners.
Yeah, but that's why you don't see anything specifically Welsh on there. It's because they say it's already part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, the upper left and lower right quarters of the shield feature the three guardian lions of England. Richard the Lionheart, that comes from.
Yeah.
In the top right is the lion rampant.
Yeah.
And in the lower left is a harp, which represents Ireland.
Oh, I see.
Surrounding the shield is the garter circlet. Now, this is to do with the Order of the Garter. What do we know about the Order of the Garter?
It's an order of knights, which the monarch appoint, isn't it?
Correct.
I think but there's only a certain number of them, which isn't a lot. I mean, I think you have to wait until somebody passes before you can add another one to the list.
Yeah.
That's about it, really.
Yeah.
But
It's a chivalry. It goes back to the ages of chivalry.
yeah.
Basically started by Edward III.
That's right.
And the circlet is inscribed with the order of the motto. Oh God, I'm going to mess this up. It's Latin. Honi soit quic mal ye pence. Shame on he who thinks evil, basically.
All right.
Now, the patron saint of the order of St. George is St. George, sorry. He is the patron saint of soldiers and also of England. Now, Appointments are announced on St. George's Day, which is the 23rd of April. So we've got to wait till next year, guys, unfortunately, to see if we've made it.
Oh, dear.
Oh, do you think you're on it? She doesn't got a clue who we are. The spiritual home of the order is St. George's Chapel in Windsor.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, that's where they all parade once a year when the Queen calls them all together.
Yeah.
But, she has a lot of distinguished people, sort of, perhaps if a Prime Minister had a good run, perhaps the next Prime Minister may be a garter knight, they're given out for service rendered to the Crown, I think.
Every knight is required to display a banner of his arms in the chapel, together with a helmet, crest, and sword, and an enamelled stall plate. Right, these are called achievements. Now, when a knight dies, all of these are taken down, and the insignia is returned to the sovereign.
Oh, okay.
The stall plates remain as a memorial and are now one of the finest collections of heraldry in the world. So I had a look at who perhaps would be in this. The order obviously includes the Queen, who is sovereign of the Garter, several senior members of the royal family, and 24 knights chosen in recognition of their work.
Right.
24 of them. Knights of the Garter are chosen personally by the sovereign to honour those who have held public office, who have contributed in a particular way to national life, or who have served the sovereign personally. So these have included Marshal of the RAF, Lord Stirrup, and former Prime Ministers Sir John Major and Sir Winston Churchill.
Yeah, that's right. I know John Major and Winston Churchill were Garter Knights, or John Major, who's still alive, is a Garter Knight. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Good old him. We've actually got to take a break.
Really? We've got through that much?
We have. We've actually got to take a break. Are you still with us, Paul?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Cool. Excellent. Thought you'd fallen asleep through Knights of the Garter, love.
No.
Right. So hold that thought, everybody. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, Harry Price here. If there's nothing me and my friends enjoy more here on the other side, it is to sit back and relax and listen to the Paranormal Concept Show, right here on the PAUK Radio Network. Broadcasting a plethora of interesting and informative content for all your paranormal needs. Find them across social media to keep up to date with forthcoming shows and all their other adventures. Hello, is there anybody there?
And welcome back to the Paranormal Concept Show, exclusive to the Paranormal UK Radio Network.
Dun, dun, dun.
Still with me, boys?
Yeah, we're still there. All refreshed and raring to go.
Right, so let's just quickly finish off the English coat of arms, because we sort of cut in the middle of that, didn't we?
We did. Yeah. We did indeed.
So a lion represents England, stands on the right-hand side, which is called the Dexter side. A unicorn representing Scotland stands on the left-hand side, which is the sinister side.
All right,
yeah. Now, according to ancient legends, the unicorn was a dangerous beast, and that is why the heraldic unicorn is chained.
I do think they should update that and just have like a lion one side, a witch the other, and a wardrobe in the middle. That'd be good.
Can you imagine, like, what is it, William?
Yeah.
It's Charles then William. Is it? Say William gets the throne and or Louis, his son, and he does have the lion, the witch, and the wardrobe. That's what I want. Oh dear. Now the lion and the unicorn stand upon a small frame, commonly referred to as a compartment. It features a thistle, a Tudor rose, and a shamrock. Obviously, that represents Scotland, England, and Ireland. And alongside the compartment is the English motto, the motto of the English monarch. D et mon droit, which is God on my right, because obviously God is by the hand of God as to why they're king or queen, right?
Yeah.
That takes you back to King Henry VIII, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Yeah.
Why am I following the Roman Catholic Church when God himself has appointed me as King of England? Therefore, I shall be King of England and King of or head of the church.
Of course, yeah.
Which is where he went with that thought pattern. Good old King Henry VIII. Right, so let's have a look at Scotland. Scottish coat of arms, because they have, each country has their own. Now, it doesn't actually have an official arms, Scotland.
No, I was quite surprised.
I think their Scottish coats of arms should have Thistle Whistle in one side, and then Loch Ness and Angriness and the Family Ness all on the other side.
Okay. Now, the arms of the Kings of Scotland was granted in 1672, so really late.
That was well after, sort of where you see the influence of James I. That's well after James I as well. So,
I know.
They played a bit of catch up there.
They certainly did. The arms with the red lion in the tressure is, however, seen as the arms of Scotland and is used as such all over the country. And the arms with the lion and the tressure were used as the arms of Scotland for the first time during the interim of 1290 to 92, when the deputies from the kingdom charged their seal with the arms.
Right, when they added it on, yeah.
And they added it on. The arms with the lion remained on the arms of the realm in the next few centuries, and in 1471 there was a curious attempt of the Scottish Parliament to displace the tressure. An act was passed in that year, for some weird reason, by which it was ordained that in time to come the sold be nad double, this is Scottish, everybody, this is my attempt at Scottish, double tressure about his armies, but that he sold hell armies of the lion without any mare.
Indeed.
Yeah.
God knows what that meant.
No, they haven't got a translation here, have they?
No, I couldn't even find a translation.
Yeah.
I reckon it says that in time to come, they should be double treasure about his armies, so double whatever about his army, but that he should buy the armies of the lion without any hair. That's how I would read that. But whether that's true or not, that's just open to interpretation and personal opinion, everybody.
Yeah.
Makes sense now.
Right. During the reign of Queen Mary Stuart, the arms were clearly used as the royal arms of Scotland. Her son, James the Sixth, obviously, could not quarter his arms with other blazons, right? He bore the crowned arms of Scotland for a short time, these arms being arms of the kingdom at the same time, and then he changed them again when he was crowned King of England in 1603, when he added the lion as a quarter in his arms. And then ever since then, the English and British queens have used the Scottish arms as part of their arms. So we've absorbed it, basically. What they were using, we absorbed. But it wasn't an official coat of arms. Right? Ah, dear. I don't know. An Act of Union of 1707, the Kingdom of Scotland ceased to exist and the realm became an integral part of Great Britain. The arms of this Great Britain shown an impaled shield of the arms of the former kingdoms of England and Scotland, impaled to show joined.
Yeah.
Okay, not cut.
Mm-hmm.
Did not change with the next two unions when Great Britain was united with Ireland in 1801 and united with Northern Ireland in 1922. So I'm talking like this, right? What makes me laugh about all of this is that there are still arguments with Scotland. They want their independence back. Wales won't even acknowledge that we're part of us, really. Not really. They're a devolved government too. And Ireland, well, they don't even talk about Ireland. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How?
But yeah, we're the United Kingdom, everybody. we just ain't playing it out on a battlefield anymore.
We just don't brag about it.
Well, the thing is, we don't do it on the battlefield. It's all politics now, isn't it?
Yeah, we've tried political rhetoric.
And that's not really working either.
No.
Oh, dear. Oh, my Lord above. So where are we? So a kingdom of Scotland was never restored, but the arms of Great Britain of 1707 were split up in its composing parts of Great Britain and Ireland, and as a result, the crowned arms of the Kingdom of Scotland, now just symbolising Scotland, were restored. When in Scotland, the royal arms show the Scottish lion in the first quarter. See, wouldn't notice really where it was, would you? Because we don't know arms.
You don't tend to, but no, I suppose that, that's just sort of give them something. So yeah.
Give them something, bless.
Yeah.
The actual meaning or origin of the arms is not known. Now, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, right, go back in time, everybody. Yes, we had kings. Yes, there was lots of battles and whatnot. But in Scotland, it was very clan.
Yeah, clan orientated, yes.
And in Wales, it was very clan orientated as well.
Yeah, I don't know much about sort of like the Welsh wars, but I should imagine so, yeah.
And Ireland were a bit like that too.
Yeah, clannish.
Whereas in England, it wasn't so much.
No, yeah, true.
So in regards to England, there's more of a stability in regard to the succession of the king.
Yes.
Whereas in Scotland, Wales and Ireland, it wasn't really one ruler rules all. It was almost like an honorary head more than a king that controls.
Yeah.
Because it was so clannish.
Yeah.
And that was constantly changing.
Yeah, sort of once one king died, there would have been huge sort of upheaval, on who was going to take the throne next.
There was still upheaval, even though there was a king or queen on the throne in those places.
Well, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but going back in the time, and that's why I think there's so much of a issue more with those three countries than there is with our own heraldry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because things would be lost. And I also think that, and again, I could be completely wrong on this, but like, say in Scotland, like, whereas like in England and Europe, in England and Europe, if we overcame someone, we would incorporate it in our shield.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we've got Scotland, and we'd already done Wales and Ireland, because we got them through hereditary or through conquer.
Conquest, yeah.
Yeah. So when a region or a clan was overthrown in, say, Scotland or Wales, they would stamp them out.
Yeah.
Rather than take on that, we were proud of that achievement. Look what we've done, kind of thing. Whereas, like, they wouldn't care. They'd be like, well, they're gone now.
Yeah.
Get rid of them, line and everything. You know what I mean? It would be all the bloodline would be killed in those circumstances. Am I right or am I wrong?
Totally.
So you wouldn't want to honour the arms because it wasn't seen as an honour to conquer. It was just get rid of, wipe them off the face of the earth kind of scenario. That's why I think it's probably so lacking in those areas, just because of the way the culture was. And this is going back into medieval times, guys. Don't forget, we're going back to like very turbulent times. Yeah. Do we agree? Do we not agree? Am I
well, yeah,
that wrong?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's it's certainly a difficult one, you know, sort of like that. They were very heady times, you can put it down to, and sort of incorporating your victories in your coats of arms was quite the norm.
Mm.
Or even the times of William Wallace, you know, they wanted to conquer the Scots, and didn't they make it law that on their wedding nights in Scotland, the lord of the land, who was English, was they able to have the first night with the new wife?
Yeah.
Try and breed them out.
I don't know if that's historically accurate.
Well, yeah.
I know. I have heard that, but I don't know if that's historically accurate.
Yeah,
wouldn't shock me.
No.
Put it that way, because we are a bit arrogant like that at times, aren't we, us English?
No, we're perfect.
Yeah. Don't think the rest of the world would agree. All I can say is if we actually incorporated every country we'd conquered, it would be a very complicated coat of arms, because we didn't just stick to our little island, did we? We kind of conquered quite a lot of other countries.
Yeah, definitely.
Along the way. And actually, if you go to those countries, you probably find they have a coat of arms bestowed by an English person on that country that incorporates, I don't know, their flag or something to show that we had stamped on them somewhere along the line. Sorry, English people, but we weren't very nice back in the day. Hence the empire of the British colonies.
See, British Empire.
Exactly. We didn't do that because we were nice people.
Oh, we did. We lovely people. We were showing the world how to live.
Controversial, Paul. Right, so let's have a look at
sarcasm. I think the phrase is.
Okay. Ireland coat of arms. Let's have a look at that one. Now, the traditional and well-known arms of Ireland is the azure harp or gold harp on a blue field. Right? It's called
it's Guinness, isn't it?
Which is where Guinness gets its
harp
from. Yeah. Well done.
No, it's the other way around. They because they love Guinness so much, they put it on their flag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think Guinness was invented back in the day.
Well, they knew they loved it.
Now, the English monarchs obviously have used the harp to represent their claim to the island since basically King Henry VIII, right, who first used the harp on his Irish coinage.
Yeah.
Right? Good old King Henry VIII. Elizabeth I used a crowned harp as a badge for Ireland in her second Great Seal of 1586, although her Irish coinage showed 3 harps.
Right.
Pure greed. 3 harps.
Finally, I think that was because we have 3 lions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's gone for the 3 harps. And then look at the fleur-de-lis, the 3 fleur-de-lis.
Yeah, to represent the religious aspect of it as well. The Holy Trinity.
Yeah, but then that's what the fleur-de-lis is anyway. It represents the Holy Trinity. You only need 1 for that. Because you've got 3 parts of it.
No, I know what you're saying, but...
Well, you've got 4 parts, technically.
But there were 3 of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so... Finally, in 1603, a new coat of arms was designed on the occasion of the Union of England and Scotland under James I. A quarter with a gold harp on blue representing Ireland was added, and that's still in modern arms of the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland. Now, the gold harp on blue is attributed to the King of Ireland in one of the oldest medieval rolls of arms, which is the Winjinbergen roll, as a Flemish roll of arms dating from 1280.
All right.
Now, the harp itself was traditionally associated with King David and was a rare charge in the early medieval rolls. Leon Jacques's ordinary of 19 early rolls has only 2 arms with a harp, the Irish coat of arms in the Winjinbergen roll and the Steinach family in the Zurich roll of arms.
Okay.
Right, so the harp is quite a thing apparently, and it was actually the O'Neill's harp during the 10th century at least. Generally known as, see what I mean? There's so many clans and God knows what's going on with this. Generally, it is known as the Brian Bow Ruard. I apologise to any Scottish, Irish, or any other nationality that I have mispronounced tonight. Who is a famous Irish king who died in 1014, and it is actually located in the Trinity College Library in Dublin.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and I have to say that me and Richard should also apologise to the Scottish and Welsh and Irish for making Kerry do these long words, but it is funny as hell. So I'm going to crack on with that.
Honestly, I know my lackings and pronunciations is probably one of them, and I've probably got it completely wrong. I'll wait till I start saying the motto. Now, where are we? In 1946, the Chief Herald of Ireland, Edward MacLysate, suggested the following as the full memorial achievement for Ireland, which is the azure, a harp, a stringed agent. The shield, surmounted by an ancient Irish bronze diadem and surrounded by a La Luna of the second, basically gold, for supporters, an Irish wolfhound and an Irish elk proper.
Oh, right. So that was his sort of vision for a coat of arms.
It was, and his motto.
So what was the motto?
You can't wait for me to try this one, can you?
Would I do a thing like that, Kerry?
Yeah. Ready, everybody? Brace yourselves.
Yeah. Look forward to this.
Do chump glory de agus honora na and right, it's a phrase that appears at the end of the 1937 Constitution of Ireland and means composed for the glory of God and the honour of Ireland. So
for the people, Irish. For the people that are just like nipped out to the toilet and come back, what was the motto again, Kerry?
I'm not saying it again. I'm not disrespecting any Irish-speaking person with trying to pronunciate that again. You know, like when you see Sinead wrote down, and how that's spelled. You wouldn't say Sinead from how it's written, would you?
No, even like Siobhan.
Or Siobhan.
Strange one, isn't it?
Yeah. And so I know that is completely mispronounced. I can't even speak now. My tongue doesn't know what to do with itself. So I do apologise because I haven't got a clue how that is said. But I've done it phonetically, should we say.
Okay, we'll let you off with that one then.
All right. Okay. God. Oh, I need to lay down after that motto. Right, let's have a look at family crests. We go back to the family crests, right?
Yeah.
Because this is the bit that's really interesting, because that is the bit that they used to identify the wearer. Yeah?
Okay.
Right.
I love it. And it also, the coat of arms, this is where it comes from, that because they would wear a coat of it with it on it, which is what I said at the beginning. Now, I did list some of the colours and the symbols to do with the crest, right? Because I thought we'd pick a few of these out because I think some of these we could relate to.
Yeah.
Guys?
Yes, okay. What's the symbols and meanings?
So we're now on symbols and meanings.
Okay,
right, so first of all, colour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how they would have come about. Right, so like black, for example, could be constancy or grief.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that could have, like, Queen Victoria or something could have just added black to the royal coat of arms.
She could have done, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So red, warrior or martyr.
Yeah, military strength.
Magnanimity. Magnanimity.
Yeah, so that's a strong colour to have, red.
Strong, passion, fire, warrior, fierce, raw colour, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas you go for something like green, it's not quite so symbolic of warrior, is it? It's more
hope, joy, and loyalty and love.
Yeah. Oh, cute.
Well, that's a girly one, that is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a curly one.
Wouldn't want that colour on mine.
Blue. What does blue say to you?
Truth and loyalty. And
Don't
Well,
worry.
that's what it. Yeah, cold.
Cold. Yeah,
It's
truth
a
and loyalty.
cold colour, yeah.
And maroon, like patient in battle yet victorious. That's what that means.
But yeah, so maroon can be more sort of diligent, can't it? Diligent, just working away at it. And you've got purple, which has always been associated as a royal colour anyway, sovereignty and justice.
Yeah, exactly.
So maroon is for diligence.
No, patience.
Well, patience. I mean, you could say diligence, couldn't you?
I was going to say, because diligence is just watching, isn't it?
So put it this way, right? If you're a warrior, if you're a knight, I went through all the words there.
Yeah.
If you're a knight going into battle, you don't kind of want green, do you?
No.
You kind of don't want that. You can't have purple because obviously it's going to be the king.
Yeah.
Right? You don't kind of want, I don't know, I wouldn't want black either because that's not really a good colour to have on a battlefield.
You'd want like a little hamburger, wouldn't you, for a wimpy? And then all the blokes would go, oh, look, there's a wimpy one there, we'll have him. And then they go over, and obviously you're not wimpy at all, and you just slaughter them all. Lure them into a false sense of security.
His mind, Richard, it twists and turns, and no one can keep up with it. All right. Okay, so I personally, I would want red if I was going into battle. I definitely wouldn't want white.
We did miss one colour out when we went through all these. We missed gold out, didn't we?
Yeah.
Generosity and elevation of the mind.
Yeah. Rich.
Yeah.
But white, obviously, white flag.
Peace and sincerity.
Yeah, it's like, stop firing at me, please. I want to surrender kind of colour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you wouldn't want to wear white. So I would want red if I was going into battle. Personally, if the king gave me any other colour, I'd be like a bit annoyed. Maybe orange. I might squeeze to an orange, but definitely not any of the others, really. So I'm red.
Yeah. See, I you could also go with white because when you split the white up into the colours of the spectrum, you've got most of them colours anyway.
I don't think that would have been seen as such.
Saying.
Plus, how dirty would that have got on the battlefield? Anyway, that's a girly thought there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It'll end up red. It's fine.
Show all the cut. Yeah, it would end up red. Right. Okay. So flowers. We've talked about flowers before with the fleur-de-lis, but there are plenty of other ones on there.
Flowers and fruits. Oh yeah.
Flowers and fruits. Yeah. So, for example, we all know bay leaves as laurel. Yeah, you'd see it famous. You'd wear a laurel crown, wouldn't you? And that's victor. You're victorious. That is actually depicted on the Rider-Waite tarot deck on one of the cards.
Is it?
Yeah. A guy on a horse with a bay laurel leaves on his head, victory.
Yeah, because Roman emperors used to be awarded laurels and laurel leaf sort of headgear for being victorious in battle.
Yeah.
This is why you should never rest on your laurels.
No, never rest on your laurels, folks. No, God.
Especially if you've got the thorny ones.
You don't? No. I do apologise, everybody. That was my son.
Send him back upstairs.
With his laurels.
Yeah, don't go resting on your laurels, Ryder. Cypress, death and eternal life thereafter.
What's that, a tree?
The cypress tree, yeah.
That would be like a cedar tree, isn't it? A cypress tree.
Oh, now you're asking about flora, Richard. Don't ask the question till you know. Because I don't. I'm as good with flowers and plants as I am with geography. I have to get one of those, those apps that you get on your phone. Identifier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I have to have one of those.
You get grapes here, don't you?
I like a grape.
Grapes.
Wine.
Yeah, it says wine making there.
Liberty, felicity, and peace.
Also associated with wine making, yes.
And Bacchus.
Yeah.
I think I'd go with dragon fruit.
Okay. You and your dragons, Paul.
Yeah, well, a nice dragon draped over the shield.
What colour?
It'd have to be a red shield.
Okay.
That's what's going to happen to everyone when they fight my dragon. All over the place.
Or black, because they're all going to die.
And then at the bottom, I'll just have loads of dragon fruit for the dragon to eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Richard?
I'm not too sure what animal I'll have. I do quite like the lion. I like the motif of the lion.
So you've got purple with a lion.
Oh, yeah.
And what fruit and plant?
I don't know. I'm just going through them. Hang on, where are we? Grapes, laurel leaves. An oak tree.
You go for oak.
Yeah.
I'd have mistletoe as well.
Great age and strength.
Ooh, great age.
I think I'd have mistletoe as well.
Okay.
Everything about my shield says death.
And you're a parasite if you're mistletoe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it causes death, doesn't it?
Funnily enough, we saw an amazing tree, didn't we?
Well, it was a holly bush, wasn't it? Or a holly tree, or whatever. And it was totally suffocated in mistletoe, wasn't it?
It was like totally entwined. So you could imagine with the red berries of the holly and then the white berry, it would be magnificent in the winter.
Yeah.
That tree. Absolutely magnificent to look at.
Is that why Richard was driving 130 miles an hour away from it then?
No, it was just so beautiful. I'd have a rose, I think. A red rose. Grace, beauty. A red and a white rose. So, yeah, grace and beauty. And then the white rose, love and faith. What's the red and the white rose?
We know about Yorkshire rose and...
Yeah.
Oh, yes, York and Lancaster. You get York rose and you Lancasterian rose. Yeah, water roses.
One was white and one was red, and they incorporated the two designs together, didn't they? Because they married the two houses to stop the war.
Yeah.
The warring. They married the two houses.
Wasn't the roses, the white and red roses, used in Alice Through the Looking Glass, or
I don't know.
Alice in Wonderland as well? I'm sure there was a connection with that too.
I don't know.
No, I don't know off the top of my head. I think.
Yeah, I'm sure there was. I've got a vague recollection of that anyway.
I mean, bless him. I'd never really read it, either of them. I don't think I got as far as
far beyond a long time ago.
With eating the fruit to make it big and drinking the drink to make it small or whatever, or cake or whatever it was. I kind of lost interest.
Yeah, I read it about 35 years ago, so.
I know, it's quite a long time ago. I think the most I've seen of those is like where I don't think I've even watched the movies, the various movies that have come out.
Right, that's your homework for this week.
It's never really captured my imagination. That was C.S. Lewis, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you will watch the movie though. It's got Johnny Depp in it, the newest one.
Oh yeah, but he's weird looking.
Yeah, what's he playing the Mad Hatter in it?
Well, that's your homework, Kerry, for this week, because Richard's got to watch movies as well. He's got to watch Ghostbusters. So that's his homework for this
like,
week.
we're very excited about the release of Ghost. But anyway, we've got off the topic.
Yeah,
Animals were frequently used as a main charge in the coat of arms, and they were shown in different postures, right?
Yeah.
Traditionally, they were in positions of combat. So they were animals that were chosen were fierce or ferocious looking and represented positive traits such as wisdom, resourcefulness, and loyalty. So let's have a look at some of these, because there are some in there that you would not expect, right?
Yeah.
Like the elephant.
Okay.
Elephant. Oh.
Yeah, I suppose, Elephant Castle's got their own coat of arms, haven't they?
Yeah.
That's an elephant with a castle on its back.
Oh. Correct. But not one you would expect to see pop up in England, right? We don't have elephants.
No, that's true.
It's surprising what you do. There's a pub near us in the village of Turling, and it's all land owned by Lord Rayleigh, and the pub is the Rayleigh Arms, and that's got a monkey on it. What is one of its supporting devices? Again, where on earth would you get a monkey from?
Tower of London.
Yeah, possibly.
Well, yeah. I mean, they knew about these animals because, like you say, various kings would give them exotic pets. That was the start of London Zoo, wasn't it?
Yeah, like, they were put all in Tower of London, weren't they?
But then they got moved to Regent's Park in the Tower of London because they couldn't, they outgrew it basically. Now, see, I chose horse, didn't I? Now, that was readiness for all employments for king and country. It's the kind of girl I am.
We can have dolphin, which is swiftness, diligence, salvation, charity, and love.
Oh,
isn't that sweet?
Dolphins, eh?
Oh.
Tortoise.
Yeah, who would have a tortoise on their coat of arms? I suppose
Invulnerability to attack.
Still no dragons.
Will we get into those?
Yeah, we're getting to the mythical creatures in a second, honey. But then you get the religious connotations, like fish.
Yeah, true. What's fish? Hang on, where was I? It's up there somewhere.
A true, generous mind, virtuous for himself, unity with Christ, spiritual nourishment.
Yeah.
Cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you can understand why a lot of, when you think of the eagle, for example, that's quite symbolic as well of royalty, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a person of noble nature, strength, bravery, and alertness, or one who is high-spirited, ingenious, quick-witted, judicious. If the wings are displayed, it signifies protection, and an eagle with two heads symbolizes conjoining forces.
I like the horse. Readiness for all employments for king and country.
That's what I said.
Oh, did you say that?
I still prefer the dragon.
Don't pay attention to me, Richard. I know.
Who are you?
I get it. Yeah. Who the hell am I?
Yeah.
So let's have a look at mythical creatures.
Here we go.
The harpy. That's what I turn into. She is a virgin's face. Oh dear.
That's funny.
I don't actually think I can continue. The neck and breast with the body of a lion, and she is ferocious under provocation. Yeah, harpy.
Yeah.
I don't know quite what to say about that. There you go, and there's your dragon, Paul, and he's up there.
Oh dear.
Yeah, see, but the dragon's only the dragon with two legs, which is valiant, defender of treasure, valor, and protection.
So you'd have 4 legs, would you?
Yeah, I'd want 4 legs.
Okay.
So I could do it twice as much probably. But that actually does fit with some of the work that I do.
Oh.
And I was born in the year of the dragon.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right. We'll let you have the dragon.
Yeah.
But you can, like, the mythological creatures, you can understand where they've come from. You know what I mean? Like,
all from Harry
you're
Potter.
going back to Greek mythology, not Harry Potter. You're going back to Greek mythology.
There's even a phoenix there, symbol of resurrection.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, old Fawkes did that.
Which is something we always look upon as the phoenix anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, but yeah, I can, it shows the influence there, I think, with those.
Yeah.
But then we get the religious thing. We get the Christian.
Oh, of course, you have to have religion in everything.
Of course. So some have religious symbols on there. So you would have, for example, like an angel or a cherub, right, which is symbolic of dignity, glory, honor, missionary, bearer of joyful news.
Yeah.
Right, a cross, the basic cross, faith, service in the Crusades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you look at the Red Cross, isn't it, which all the a lot of Crusaders, well, particularly Templar Crusaders, went to the Holy Land. Yeah, the cross would have been your main form of iconography. Yeah.
Yeah.
The cross of St. George, isn't it?
Well, we have lots of different types of crosses. So, like the Celtic cross is the unity of heaven and earth, right? The cross pointed at the base, which is called a cross ficci, is a combination of a cross and a sword, which is unshakable faith.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. A cross flowered at each end, called a cross flori, is one who has conquered. So this is where the type of cross would actually, these are the more basic ones, I would think, would tell more of a story, more of an obvious story.
Yeah, if you knew the meanings of them, yeah.
Yeah. So like a cross which has arms narrow at the centre is called the cross patée or the cross formée, which is the military honour. In fact, if you think about that particular cross, what they use is is it the purple or the it's the purple cross, isn't it? The one they give to
heart.
No, you got the VC, Victoria Cross.
Yeah, so
we got the Victoria Cross. That's what that is. The arms are narrower at the centre.
Yeah, they do go in slightly, yeah.
That's military honour, which is why they've used that for that medal.
Yeah, I don't think the Purple Heart is ours, is it?
Is that American?
That's American, yeah.
I think it might be American. That might be where you're confused.
Maybe. Right, so a cross with 8 points is called the Cross Maltese.
Oh, and that's the Cross of St. John, isn't it?
Knights Hospitalia, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the
Maltese cross.
Which means blessings, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you've got the Cross Moine, or Molin, can't read, Cross Molin, which is the mutual converse of human society, is said to represent a millstone.
Oh, right. You don't want that hanging around your neck, do you?
And a cross Ragally. I don't know what they are, those two, what they look like. It doesn't give me a description. It says difficulties encountered.
Right.
So the cross itself, that's depending on the type of cross, depends on the meaning of it. So this
is almost like a semaphore, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can have objects as well.
Yeah.
Within it. So we've got like the anchor, which to me, when I read that, I was like, but surely that's just a tattoo, an old age tattoo. Everyone used to have an anchor, didn't they? But no, it means hope, religious steadfastness.
Have you ever travelled around and have you ever seen pubs occasionally called like the Hope and Anchor? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what the Pilgrim Fathers say, and when they crossed the Atlantic to settle the Americas, they used to anchor in the bay, and they used to say, "We anchor in hope." of something and say a prayer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh, well, there you go.
I can see why the anchor there is hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Chains. You could have chains, which is a reward for acceptable and weighty service. Now, with crowns and collars, this suggests the bearer bore the chain of obligation or obliged others because of services done. So you'd have chains not to bind you, but to symbolise your type of service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the weight on your shoulders, sort of thing. Your responsibilities. Yeah.
Now, a hand or a red hand. Now, when I read this, I thought, oh gosh, symbolism, right? We're talking about heraldry.
Yeah.
But when I read this, the red hand, there's a very famous film with Wilson on a ball, a football. Okay. And it's Tom Hanks' hand, isn't it? And he calls him Wilson.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, Castaway, yeah.
Yeah, Castaway, well done. Now, that symbolises pledge of faith, sincerity and justice, right? And the more I thought about that, the more I thought, actually, that is so symbolic. The faith in that film, Tom Hanks, he's deserted on a desert island, isn't he? The faith, he's pledged faith to himself, and symbolised that externally into Wilson, right? Honestly, my brain, right? That he will survive. He will, survive the ordeal he's going through. He's pledged that faith to himself. It is, of all the things right in the world, he will make it home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, I was like, oh my God, it's just like a whole new level. Oh my God. Yeah. Or am I just like farting in the wind?
No.
Can you see that? Honestly.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, I can.
Mind
but
blown moment.
I didn't think of that at all. So well done, you.
Yeah. It's amazing where my brain goes at times. You could have a letter. And the letter would represent a great battle or tournaments beginning with that letter. So say you was at the Battle of
Culloden.
Culloden? Never heard of that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you'd have a C.
It's the Battle of Agincourt. You can have an A.
Yeah. Yeah, those sort of things, yeah.
I was trying to think of a battle.
Battle of the Field just down the road. That's it.
Battle of Bull Run. Yeah, let's go for that. Yeah.
So we've covered quite a lot of areas tonight looking at this, and I said right at the beginning, it is quite confusing. It is quite a very deep topic. It's not easy. We've given like I said, an overview of it, because every single element of a coat of arms, every single element, even down to the specific design of that, has a symbolic meaning for the act bestowed upon the person who received it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And we've it's evolved, it changes. It's a lot of the meanings have been lost. Specific instances have been lost in the annals of time. But it's a fascinating look at how we interpret symbols. I think, I mean, we already acknowledged that unless you was around at the time, you wouldn't necessarily understand the language that is conveyed through coats of arms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're very much things of their time. I mean, even we look at them now and sort of don't really realise how much information can be stored in coats of arms.
Exactly. Picture form, going back in the day when the majority wouldn't be able to read or write.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the battlefield, you'd know exactly who was who and where they were. You'd be able to direct battles. You'd be able to know who your, loyal people were and who weren't. To becoming a language, an absolute fascinating tool of symbology to convey a message out there to anybody who looks at it, which is lost, I would say, today to the majority of people. We recognise, it's a coat of arms, but the meaning and the intricacy, I think, is lost. The subtlety of it is lost. It is so much more than just somebody's coat of arms. There is a whole story told in that. And that, I feel, is so important to recognise, not only from an historical perspective, but in the language of symbols, which when we start talking in, how many times do we sit there and we go like, symbols have power?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, we've talked mythological creatures, we've talked symbols, basic symbols, letters, they mean something. They're so important and integral and intertwined with our history that it's something we could easily overlook, this importance of heraldry and heritage that is there that we've lost. The majority of people have lost. You know, it doesn't tend to get mentioned. So that's why I wanted to get fascinating topic, guys. I found it incredibly interesting looking into this. I certainly wouldn't go out and buy one, like get somebody to make me one. I certainly wouldn't do that unless I could pay thousands of pounds for a genealogist to find go and do it properly. But even then, I wouldn't be granted it because I'm not a direct descendant.
Well, if they can find out you'll be direct descendant, you know, but then it will go to your dad, and he won't be able to hand it down to you anyway.
Yeah, I know, right? Because I'm a mere female, unless I change it to a diamond. But things like that, it tells us a story of eras. It tells us a story of weaponage. It tells us a story of the rise and fall of various lines of lords and knights and clans and countries. Oh my God. I have to say, I did get a bit like, oh my God. It's one of those where you go, oh, I'll just do heraldry. It'd be easy if I had loads of folklore about heraldry. A lot of that's been lost, but it doesn't change that it's out there. And if you can work out the symbology, and that will tell you a story about that particular family or that person, amazing. I found it incredible.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed.
Anyway, they've indulged me on this topic. I will say that the boys have indulged me. I've got it out.
Interesting.
Got it out my system.
No, you've done well. You've done well with it.
Well, I've got it out my system now. What are we doing next week, boys?
I don't know what we decided to do next week.
Oh, next week it will be spirit photography, Victorian spirit photography, and a more sort of gruesome subject as well, post-mortem photographs. So a little bit different next week.
We're heading back into the Victorian period then, right?
Yeah, we're going back to the Victorian period, yeah.
Do love a bit of Victoria, don't you, Richard?
Yeah, a bit of Victoriana, you know, it's sort of like, yeah, I like to set the scene.
Paul, have we got anything to report?
No, the website is all up to date with all the latest shows. So that's done. We're going to have a blog coming out soon, and our books are still available on Amazon, and you can also get to them through our website, which is www.paranormalconcept.com.
Beautiful.
And
on that note, I think we've come to the end of the show, beautiful boys.
Yes. That's quick. I enjoyed that.
Say good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.